We've always had a little trouble with Daddy Bill as far as keeping its temperature where I want it to be, especially with the air conditioner on. For those of you who are new, this is a Boost Line short block, 6-liter, forged Brian Tooley internal. It's about 11-to-1. It does have the CNC ported heads from Frankenstein. Probably makes on the spray 600, about 400 NA. In this current situation, we are going to do some upgrades soon, so subscribe, stay tuned, all that good stuff. This is a cold case. It's actually a LS Swap radiator. It's called the GMT 580. It's for LS swapping your OBS trucks. It has 2 1.25 inch rows, and it's about 18 tall and about 28.5 wide on the actual core itself. So this should be plenty of cooling for our application. Again, we're not making that giant amount of horsepower. I personally like mechanical fans, and we tried to run that one on here. This is the OEM fan. I'd actually bought a new clutch and fan and ran it with the factory shroud because they move tons of air. Electric fans don't tend to do as well as mechanical ones. Plus, they're just dead on reliable. So that happened the day before Rocky Mountain Race Week started. We didn't have a lot of time. I had this fan sitting around. Actually, my buddy Austin had it sitting around for me.
I got you. Here's your fan backhand.
Thanks, brother. I'm glad you're here. He's brought this over, and literally I just zip tied it to the radiator, and that got us through race week. It actually didn't do terribly bad. I thought it would be way, way worse. But it's not ideal because it doesn't pull air all the way through the radiator. It just pulls air where it's mounted. So I bought this. By the way, I buy most of my stuff from Jeff at 918 Motorsports. He's always got good prices and great service. He had this fan for me, and I ordered this shroud from Speedway Motors. And basically, I just had to cut some notches out of there so I could hang it on the front of the radiator. This steel is problematic though, even though that's like kind of the higher end 16-inch Durali, or however you pronounce that fan. It's supposed to be like 3,600 CFM, which I've always heard everyone overrates their fans. To be honest, this one didn't do much worse than this setup, because even in traffic, you can see this right here. It's roughly 86 degrees outside. It should be actually going down since it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And our temperature is hovering up to 194. As soon as I get a little bit of gas, it seems like it increases the coolant flow and drop that down to 193. Anyway, with a 160 degree thermostat in there, even though it's been drilled, it was worse than that before we drilled it. It shouldn't gain 35 plus degrees over your thermostat rating. Now, there could be several reasons why your engine doesn't keep temperature properly. It could be related to your radiator not being enough, which I'm pretty sure this one is. Your water pump could be failing, which this one was new after we had that little explosion. Your thermostat may not be opening properly, which we did question that. So I drilled 4 holes around the perimeter of this thermostat. It's 160 degree. And one thing I noticed after that happened, it would take it forever to reach temperature. That actually was not optimal because it was in closed loop for too long. But it did tell me that my water pump was flowing and that my radiator was doing a pretty good job because of the circulation being increased. We still had the issue at higher temperatures though when we're sitting in traffic and had the air conditioner on. I ordered a new thermostat from Summit, so we're probably gonna remove it. These come with the housing, which you can actually just press this down and rotate it, and then this thermostat will come out of this neck itself, the water neck. Probably what I'm gonna do is I'll cut that little tab out of this one so that hole can flow freely, but not drill any additional holes, because I do want it, especially going into winter, to warm up in the proper amount of time. So what we're gonna try is this fan kit from Flex-a-lite. It's part number 104242. Summit kind of has its own little part number for it there. Dual 13-inch fans, or 13.5-inch fans, and they claim that it pulls 4,600 CFM, which is 1,000 more than the Durali claimed. Plus, you have all that extra airflow, like at highway speeds, that air can make it through that radiator. And these are like a one-way flap, where if you're at speed, or if there's not vacuum between this panel and your radiator, these can just allow the air to flow through them. So you've got a lot more surface area getting movement. This is the instructions that come with it. It does come with a few of these brackets that you can make work in your application. Again, it is universal. It has the hardware. It's got these nutserts already fastened into it. So 4 across the top, 4 across the bottom, 2 on each side. This is the front side of it, if you will, that has a decent sized gauge wires. The instructions say that it only has a 28 amp draw, which is kind of impressive. So these are pretty efficient motors. They're not brushless, but that's still a pretty efficient motor to run. So you could probably run them off the same, I think I have a 40 amp relay and a 30 amp fuse that runs these guys. So we should be good for it to run both fans. And I'd be excited to find out if this fixes our issue, because I am kind of sick of it. So I have drained the radiator and recycled the fluid that was in it. I think I'm gonna go ahead and take it out and flush it though, because I think the machine shop residue in that block leaves a little bit of grit in my cooling system. I noticed a couple of times that there was like this weird texture that was like on this little rubber surface. You can kind of see the little bumpiness there. And the only thing I can think that that's coming from is machine work in the engine block. So I'm gonna flush that out and make sure we're not gonna be fighting any kind of clogging issues. Or it could be also damaging to our thermostat operating properly. Radiator's all flushed and back in. And as I saw in the video, so those of you who might be new, always fill an LS from the output from your water pump. That way it goes behind the thermostat into the block first, and then it will slowly fill into your radiator, because you'll kind of see that happening. Also, you'll know that you're topped up as long as you've got the proper steam ports. When water starts coming out of this hose, you'll see it coming into the radiator. So you know your engine block's full of coolant. And then if you want to switch from there to topping it up just in your radiator directly, and then put your upper radiator hose on. A little pro tip, and the more you know. Rerouted the wires from where they had them tied up, and then used these crimp and seal connectors. Yeah, it's 2 into 1. It's only going to be a little short run, and actually that's like a 12 gauge wire, so it ought to carry 27 amps at the 13.5 volts or so. No problem. So I'm going to, as usual, test this before we go mounting it and make sure both fans spin happily. And then we'll decide what kind of bracketry and what kind of bending and finagling we're gonna have to do. Ooh. Yeah, they work. Golly. That ought to move some air. My lower brackets, I took one of these and I cut off, well, exactly this much of it, and sort of smooth the edges up some. And the plan is this will bolt to the bottom of the fan assembly like that on those nutserts, I call them, or riv nuts. The rest of it can bolt on the bottom here of the radiator support. So when you fasten that, get all your stuff lined up, and bolt that in, you'll have a place for that fan to sit on here, and it'll actually support its weight on both sides. And then the top won't be as crucial as far as weight support. It'll just be a matter of holding it tight, the gasket against our radiator core. And it might not be my best work, but I used the brackets they provided and trimmed them up a little bit, sort of, I don't know, stylized them, if you will, and then bent them with my vise after heating them up, bolted it to those nutserts. And then I had these little plug clips, automotive fasteners, that I put in these other 2 brass nutserts, because they looked awful and now they look pretty clean. Again, not my best fab work, but believe it or not, this actually is not a show truck. Now we're gonna fire it up, keep the coolant handy, and see if we can burp it. Oh, also, I always say this in my videos, but for those of you who are new, anytime you're filling your coolant system, turn the heater on. So the heater control valve will open. It'll circulate coolant through the heater core, which is inside your dash. Otherwise, the next time you run your heater, you're gonna probably burp some air out of there. So you might as well get that handled right off the bat. Hear that fan go. Fans. At the 179, 180 degree mark. Give a little bit of gas. See it drops down a little bit there. Yeah, and our vintage air system is definitely doing its thing. See, there's 47 degrees in the back of that vent. Yeah, I turned off the air and waited for a second. Dropped down to 179, just sitting in the garage idling. It is not cool today, as a matter of fact. So with not a lot of airflow in this garage and this thing just sitting here idling, I feel like we have fixed our cooling issue. Now, I understand we haven't driven it down the road or anything, but honestly, this sitting dead still, especially in an enclosed area, is kind of worst case scenario. Of course, could have shut the hood. That probably would have simulated traffic a little bit more so it can heat soak and just not let that stuff cool. Still, 179, 180 dead still with the air conditioner running is the best that this thing has ever been. So I guess shout out to Flex-a-lite. This is not a sponsored video, but it could be. I hope you guys learned a little something about your LS swap. I've been through a few fans as we showed earlier in the video, and I do like this set. They offer different sizes. You just have to really look around. There's stuff out there on the market, but this is an exact fit for our radiator, and that makes it look very much on purpose, which is something that I kind of like in these builds when we do them. Hey, thanks for watching. If you've made it this far, I appreciate you very much. Subscribe if you want to, or click like, I don't really care. Big changes going on this engine in the next video. Parts are on order, and it's gonna be rad, so please stay tuned. Can't see it, but we're at 202 at idle with the air conditioner on after driving it down the highway for a while, then pull into a parking lot. So 201 now. Anyway, still don't love that. Maybe that's just where this engine wants to live.